Thank you for coming and welcome to our April 16th, 2018 Cumberland County Board of Commissioners meeting. As I said, welcome. Good to see all of you this evening. At this time, we want to check on Commissioner Evans and make sure he's got his telephone working.
He will be.
Commissioner Evans?
Yes.
Okay, Charles, you hear us loud and clear?
Yes, sir, I do.
Okay.
I got his button, Mr.
Okay.
Chairman.
Glenn gets to vote twice tonight. So congratulations, Glenn. At this time, I'd like to call on Commissioner Jeanette Council, who will deliver our invocation, and then she is going to introduce a little special guest we have tonight, and he is going to do our Pledge of Allegiance. So if you'd please stand at this time for our invocation.
Good evening. Join me with a word, please. You know that 5 years ago on this date, I think it's the same date, we were hit, Cumberland County was hit with a series of storms. And we had a lot of people displaced and a lot of money spent. So I just want to remind you of that. Heavenly Father, we come here tonight to conduct the business of the county and to look out for the benefit all of the citizens of our county, and to do our best to make the kinds of decisions that will have long-lasting and positive effects on our citizens. We ask that you remind us constantly that you should always be foremost in our thoughts. And Heavenly Father, I want to thank you for the privilege of serving with these 6 men that I consider my brothers, and the privilege of serving the people in Cumberland County. Thank you for all that you have done and all that you will continue to do for us. Harvey, amen?
Amen.
Harvey, come forward, please. We're pleased to have Harvey Mitchell with us, and he is going to lead the pledge. He's 10 years old and attends the 4th grade at Freedom Christian Academy. He enjoys reading, watching football, and spending time with his family. He has an older sister, Gracie, who's 11, who's also a 4th grader at Freedom Academy. He's here with his mother and father, Ian and Renee Mitchell, and his sister. Renee also is a Cumberland County employee. She works in the finance department here in this building. Now, sir, lead us.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Would you come around, please? Start here. Shake hands. I'm sorry, I forgot to practice.
Way to go, Harvey. Good job, bud. Group shot. Oh, Lord. Yeah, look. Yeah.
We do the squeezy.
Harvey?
Yeah.
The rest of us won't fit.
Mom, face the camera.
Mom.
Yeah. Get the whole family. Get the family.
Get the whole family.
Bring the family in.
Dad?
You don't, Harvey, you don't mind if your family comes in, do you?
No.
Okay.
That's right. It's your moment. You can let them in.
Hey, we're going to eat after this,
Special guy
Harvey.
right
What we
now.
going to eat?
Hey, you see anybody out there eating boosters in your family?
Okay, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. One more. Good.
You go, Harvey.
Let it go, Harvey.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Pull it up. Thank you. Got it. Speaking to Jimmy.
This time we'll have a special recognition. I'd like to call on our FTCC President, Dr. Larry Keene, and FTCC Board of Trustee Chairman, Mr. Ronald Crosby, to handle a special recognition. Welcome, gentlemen.
Should we tell them you got an emergency? Should we tell them you got an emergency?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, members of the Board of Commissioners. It's my distinct honor today to announce that our Board of Trustees actually last month made a decision to award an honorary trustee to Dr. Jeanette Council. And I'll tell you, I'm so proud of her. I've been in North Carolina for 16 years. And when I was employed, she was on the State Board of Community Colleges at the time. It was always one of those trusted advocates you could go to and ask information, and she would give you a straight answer. And I never dreamed I would be in Fayetteville, North Carolina, and certainly in Cumberland County at the time, but I followed her all along. She's been a leader of this Board of Commissioners in many, many respects over the years. And so I could not be more pleased, nor could we be more honored on behalf of our trustees and our college than to name you as an honorary trustee. Now, you had a bit of an emergency this morning when we at lunch when we actually did this, and it was interesting. I wasn't about to let you out of that room until we gave it to you. So you were definitely surprised, and honestly, I loved every minute of it because it was genuine. And so, Dr. Council, if you'd come down and let us present to you, on behalf of our board, Mr. Ron Crosby will read a special, what do you call it? Resolution, a special resolution that depicts for our Board of Commissioners and all the guests today what you've meant not only to this state, but also to Cumberland County, to Fayetteville, and to be frank with you, to me personally. You're a hero of mine, you always have been, and you continue to do great things. And so, Mr. Crosby, if you would please.
Resolution to honor the service and dedication to Fayetteville Technical Community College on the occasion of the designation as honorary trustee, Dr. Jeanette M. Council. Whereas for more than 50 years, Fayetteville Technical Community College has served the citizens of Cumberland County with access to high quality and affordable education that helps students become successful in their chosen careers. Whereas Fayetteville Technical Community College is the third largest community college in the North Carolina Community College system and provides education to more than 40,000 students each year on a beautiful and diverse campus. Whereas the North Carolina Community College system and Fayetteville Technical Community College believe the road to economic vitality for the state of North Carolina begins at the doors of the state's community colleges. Whereas Fayetteville Technical Community College, in serving its students, is relying on donations from concerned citizens and appropriations from the state and county to address the needs of the college. Whereas Dr. Jeanette M. Council has served as a member of the State Board of Community Colleges from 1993 through 2005, including service as a member of the Finance Committee and a member and chair of the Personnel Committee. Whereas Dr. Council has served the citizens of Cumberland County, North Carolina as District 1 representative on the Cumberland County Board of Commissioners for 4 consecutive terms, including 4 terms as Board Vice Chair and 3 terms as Board Chair. And whereas Dr. Council has also honorably served in leadership roles in various community and business organizations throughout Cumberland County and the state of North Carolina, now therefore be it resolved that the members of the Board of Trustees, in appreciation of the steadfast leadership and service of Dr. Jeanette M. Council to Fayetteville Technical Community College, Cumberland County, and the state of North Carolina, hereby recognize her as honorary trustee of Fayetteville Technical Community College. As this special occasion is marked, may the service and dedication to others demonstrated by Dr. Council over the past years serve as stepping stones of strength and joy to the years that lie ahead. Adopted this 16th day of April 2018. Dr. J. Larry Keene, President. Ronald C. Crosby, Jr., Board Chair.
I have got to say a word. I was at a luncheon meeting today, and got word that there was not only a fire, house fire on my street, but there were several emergency vehicles in front of my house. And after I got about the second or third message, I was going home. But Dr. King wouldn't let me. He wouldn't let me leave. I was totally shocked and surprised. I don't know what I said.
Do we know?
But I do know that the niche that this college fills in our community serves a purpose that no one really can measure. You take the hopeless sometimes and give them hope. Because I've had too many people to go to school, even when I was teaching basic education there. I don't know if you all know that, but I taught basic education for a while at night for people, grown people, who did not know how to read. And that was an amazing experience for me. I am proud of everything that you do and what this college does for the citizens of our area. What you do for economic development, what you do for high school students, what you do for the military, no one can measure. You are truly the wind beneath our wings in the area that you serve, and you lead North Carolina. If I get a chance, and I didn't even know that this was happening tonight, I can make some remarks that make sense, okay? But they keep surprising me with stuff. So I'm sorry, but I love FTCC. It is just a marvel for me, and I am grateful for this. You wait till I get home. I am grateful for this. I'm taking it. Thank you.
Well, Glenn, it's still there. You want to read it or what?
Mr. Chair, thank you for giving us this opportunity to recognize Dr. Council. And I'll tell you, it's truly heartfelt on behalf of our Board of Trustees, our faculty, staff, and students, and the support that she and all of you give us. We do appreciate the opportunity. Thank you
so much.
Do the walk of shame.
My brothers.
You come shake our hands.
50 years in education. Are you starting to do one?
I got the walk of shame.
Walk of fame.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
You are great.
Go. What'd you do? I'm just not taking nerves. I'm ready to go. Hello to you, Mama. Since age one. Since age one.
Okay, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Take one. One more.
1, 2, 3.
There we go.
A bunch of
Just gotta keep us straight.
Commissioner Adams.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, thank you so very much. And I think that even, and I think Dr. Keenan knows are gone, but I will remark that, and I don't think they said it tonight, that they don't give out that award every year and basically give it out very, very sparingly. But Commissioner Evans is on the telephone. He could not be here, Dr. Council, Commissioner Council, so he sent a note for you that he wanted me to read. And it reads, congratulations on being appointed an honorary trustee of Fayetteville Technical Community College. I am truly touched that your outstanding contributions to Cumberland County were recognized in such a way, and regret that I was unable to be there in person when this well-deserved honor was conferred on you. This award is a fitting tribute to you, and I cannot think of anyone who is worthy of such an honor. Once again, congratulations and continued blessings. Warmest regard, Charles Evans.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And I think Charles is on the phone. He just wanted me to read that and convey that to you.
Thank you, Charles. I counted you as a brother too, even though you weren't here.
Thank you.
I appreciate this. Thank you.
At this time, we have two more special guests, and they do a lot of special things. Cumberland County Youth Council members. So Melissa and Jordan, how about front and center? Tell us a little about where you're from. Take good notes so you know what comes at the end of the meeting. So ladies first.
Hi, my name's Melissa Smith. I'm in 12th grade at Pine Forest High School, and I'll be attending UNC Chapel Hill in the fall. And thanks. I've been in the Youth Council since May of last year, and this is my second county commissioner meeting, so I'm excited. Thank you.
All right. Jordan.
Yes, sir.
Let's hear it, buddy.
All right. Well, I'm also from Pine Forest High School, and I'm also a senior. I know you guys like that. Fortunately, I won't be attending UNC. I'll be actually attending NC State.
There you go.
There we go.
You got it? All right.
Yeah.
All right then.
This is my 4th year in FCYC, and I also serve on a board called National League of Cities, and I work with a lot of national, what would you call them?
Delegates.
Yeah. I guess delegates, yeah. And I'm excited to be here tonight.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hey, once again, two of Cumberland County's finest right here.
Thank you.
We also have some Future Business Leaders of America, FBLA, in our midst this evening. I understand they are from 71st High School, Future Business Leaders of America. Where are you, and would you please stand up to be recognized? Would either or both of you like to make a few comments about FBLA? Are you okay where you are? We're okay where we are. Well, how about standing back up and with the college tradition, you've heard NC State and UNC. Where are you two going to school?
Well, actually, sir, I plan on attending Fayetteville State University.
Okay, good
All
deal.
right, Broncos.
Gotcha.
Bronco.
What about your colleague?
I'm a freshman.
That's okay. It's okay.
We're trying to figure that out.
Gotcha. You'll be ready.
She's still recruiting.
Okay. Good for you. Good for you. At this time, I'd like to call on our Assistant County Manager, Sally, and she is going to recognize our Cumberland County Citizens Academy graduates at this time. Thank you, Sally.
Good evening. On March 27th, 29 Cumberland County residents completed the county's Citizens Academy. We invited the graduates to attend tonight's meeting to be recognized for their participation in the program and for their desire to gain a better understanding of county government. So these participants completed 6 consecutive Tuesday nights. They heard from 27 different county departments, and they visited various county locations such as the Ann Street Landfill, the Sheriff's Training Center, Crown Complex, the courthouse here, and Department of Social Services, and the Historic Courthouse. This is the 10th Citizens Academy class, and there are now 260 graduates. Public Information Specialist John Souls coordinated the Academy with the help of Claudia Sievers and Geneve Mankel. So as I call your name, please stand up, and at the end you'll move forward, shake the hands, and we'll get a group photo of the entire class. Frederick Barber.
He's not here.
Cedric Bland. Tammy Botello. Tammy is a Cumberland County employee. She works with tax administration. Marie Callender. Clyde Cobb. Stanley Ford. Mr. Ford was here with the group from 71st. Bradford Gaddy. Yolanda Gaylor. Betty Glenn. Deidre Hadley. Deidre is a Cumberland County employee with the Department of Social Services. Gary Horn. Antonio Jones. Bernard King. Diane King. Angela Leonard. Wanda Lewis. Sharday Lewis. Corey McBride. Tony McKinnon. Deneen Morton. Christopher Nelson. Sonia Oates. Sharon Sanders. Barry Simmons. Larry Smalls. Wilbert Stokes. Westana Williams. Mark Yarborough. Luciana Yarborough. That's our class. Now we'd like you to move forward, shake the commissioner's hands, stay there for the group photo. John will get that.
Once again, bud, keep on graduating. Good to see you again. Keep on graduating, bud. Yes. Mark, right? That's it, sir. Keep on graduating. The original Marie Callender. I know. Gotcha. I have a salad already. Good to see you.
So I bet you knew some things about your county you didn't know. I know, it happens all the time. Did you enjoy it? I bet you learned something. Yeah,
well, just keep on graduating. Good to see you again, Mark.
Hope you enjoyed the academy.
They just keep on graduating. Jeanette signing autographs. Anybody want a picture with Glenn? Be sure to get that picture with Glenn. Good to see you again, partner. You too, always. Good to see you. God bless you.
This crazy area work behind the scenes.
Well, you just keep on graduating.
What was your favorite part? What was your about the county you didn't know? I know. You just went out of key. Thanks for bringing the students here. Yeah, I hope you enjoyed the academy. Yeah, you know. That's an interesting one.
The thing she has to go through, she's the only girl in the locker room. It's scary for her.
Amy, are you on the end?
I was trying to get right to all right. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3.
Okay.
All right, that's perfect. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay.
Nice job.
Thank you.
You too.
Excuse me. Okay, I'm good.
No, they get one at the end. They get one at the end.
I am exhausted. Y'all guys are the best. What happened to my thing?
Yeah.
Where's my Novus agenda?
You don't mean that.
You never missed a photo.
That's right.
I'd like to shake a few hands. Let's shake a few hands.
Oh, they know how to do it too.
Yes,
Lord have mercy.
Thanks for coming down.
And good luck.
What did I do?
Be picky about where you go.
Oh,
You're only a freshman. They have to come with you now.
Again, my friend. Thank you.
I'm 15th grade. And my husband and my grandson's there now.
Oh, the president. All right now.
John, take a picture. Everybody look. 1, 2, 3. One more. There we go.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Sally, it's still you.
What happened to Novus agenda?
All right. The Public Information Office partnered with Methodist University through an educational affiliation agreement to offer a videography internship during the spring 2018 semester. And tonight we would like to recognize Sherilyn Rijos, a senior graduating in May from the Mass Communications Program, for her contributions to the county's communications efforts. So Sherilyn, she's on the very back row. Please come forward. Sherilyn worked 90 hours in the Public Information Office, and in exchange, she earned academic credit of 30 hours, internship hours, through the university's internship office. From concept development and script writing to filming and editing, Sherilyn created videos for the following county departments: Tax Administration, Emergency Services, the Health Department, Cooperative Extension, and Animal Control. And these videos are appearing on FCE TV and on our county's social media platforms. I'd like to take a moment and recognize Robin Davenport. Robin is the Associate Director for Internships and Employer Relations at Methodist University. And we would like you to take just a minute to see some of Sherilyn's work. This is her most recent video.
Anyone can come down to the shelter and adopt. You just have to be 18 years old and have your state ID. In order to adopt a pet, there's no forms you have to fill out. You just have to sign an adoption contract. Our adoption fees range from $68 to $83 for adopting a cat and $86 to $117 for a dog. Included in your adoption fee is a spay or neuter, rabies for 1 year, a microchip, first set of vaccines, and your county license if you live within Cumberland County. Although it's included in our adoption fee, after the first year, you will be responsible to have your animal vaccinated against rabies and to have a current county license. Some of the animals we have available for adoption include dogs, cats, rabbits, ferrets. We even have but if their owner surrender to the shelter, then they can go to adoption. Before you adopt a pet, you can always come down to the shelter and meet with them. You can play with them in a bonding room or take them out in the yard. If you have any other pets at home, we recommend that you bring them in for a meet and greet before you decide to adopt. Once you choose your pet, you will not be able to take it home that day if it's not already spayed or neutered. You'll choose your vet from a list of vets that we are contracted with. After the procedure is done, you would pick up directly from the vet the next business day. Included in the adoption fee is the first set of vaccines. Beyond that, they would be booster vaccines, so you would have to contact your vet to set up an appointment for those. We're always accepting donations. Some of the things we're always looking for are dog food and cat food, old blankets, newspapers, shredded paper, or any other pet-related supplies. Shelter dogs have a really bad reputation. Not all of the animals at the shelter are bad dogs. Some of them have been in loving homes. We would have some here that are already housebroken. We would never put a dog on the adoption floor that has shown signs of aggression. If you would like us to, we can dog or cat test any animal that you're interested in adopting. As much as we as a shelter staff love caring for the animals, we would love to see them all go to the perfect home. To adopt a pet, you can come in Monday through Friday, anytime between 9 and 5:30 p.m. And on Saturday, we're open for adoptions between 1 and 5 p.m. To view our available adoptable animals, you can visit the Animal Control section of our county website. For more information, you can call 910-321-6852.
So County Manager Amy Cannon will present a certificate to Cheryl Lynn.
Good evening, Commissioners. This is a certificate of appreciation submitted to Sherilyn Rihos for outstanding service as the Public Information Office videography intern from January 8th to April 16, 2018. Sherilyn, we thank you for your hard work, commitment to producing quality products, and your willingness to learn about county government. Your professionalism and dedication reflect great value upon yourself and Methodist University. Presented this day, April 16th, 2018. Sherilyn, thank you for everything you did. We hate to see you go. Shake the Commissioner's hand.
Sure, you're not talking tonight? You're not speaking tonight? You don't have a few words? Oh, you're not? Congratulations. Hey, come around. Thank you. Shake a few hands. Thanks for allowing us to.
It's my classmate.
Yeah,
absolutely. You look a lot older than
Robin.
Yeah.
Great. Oh. First class young lady.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. All right. Back up, Sheriff.
Come on.
You
Back
know
up.
the time.
Robin, get over here.
That's right. More photo ops. Glenn Adams will send you some.
Okay. 1, 2, 3. Try this one. 1, 2, 3. Okay, good.
Thank you.
This evening, we have Judge Steele in the house, and I'm sure we'll be hearing from him in a little while. It's time, Carrie Sutton, who is the chairperson of the Cumberland County Board of Education. Carrie, how about standing up and introducing your guest?
Hello, everyone. I'm so happy to be here, Commissioners, and my board members, fellow colleagues that's with me tonight, is Susan Williams, Katie Hall, Lisa Taylor, Tim Kinlaw, our interim superintendent, and our business operation associate superintendent, Scott Locklear.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, we do have from the library, Mr. Brian Tyler. Where did Brian get to? Who's visiting with us tonight. Thank you, Brian.
Hey, guys from the school board, you saw a lot of, and you should be proud of, as we are, of what goes on in Cumberland County schools, and we're just pleased to be able to recognize, hey, not only students, but parents of students who have completed a pretty rigorous program in the Citizens Academy, and we're very proud of them also.
It's another finalist of Pine Forest students coming out here again and again. Just a great crowd.
At this time, we're at the public comment period. I'll call on our county manager, Amy Cannon, to read the public comment policy.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The public comment period shall be held at the beginning of the third Monday of each month at 6:45 and shall last no longer than 15 minutes. Each speaker will have a maximum of 3 minutes to make remarks until the 15-minute time limit is attained. No time may be yielded to another speaker. Speakers will be acknowledged by the board in the order in which their names appear on the sign-up sheet. Speakers will address the board from the lectern and begin their remarks by stating their name and address. Thank you.
Okay. Madam Clerk.
We have 4 speakers this evening. Our first speaker is Dr. Connie Leitner.
Okay. Welcome again, my friend. Good to see you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Me too. On behalf of the United Way of Cumberland County, I'd like to thank the Board of Commissioners for giving us an opportunity to give a very brief summary of our report. I'm sorry, I already violated the rules. Constance Leitner is my name. And my address is 795 Asheville Drive, Fayetteville, North Carolina, 28311. Thank you for giving us the opportunity to present the results of the most recent needs assessment that was conducted here in Cumberland County. As you guys know, United Way raises funds so that they can support different social service programs in the community, programs that can be the most impactful in the community. In order to make sure that their funds are going to the right places and agencies and different organizations that can help the community the most, approximately every 5 years, they do a needs assessment, where basically they send a survey out to county residents and they ask them questions in the area of education, public safety, health, and economic, just different economic or financial questions. And we hear directly from them. And ordinarily, every 5 years, the same basic patterns pop up. However, it's important to continue to do this survey because occasionally there are new things that do pop up as really important issues that we need to begin addressing. For instance, if you look at the sheets that you guys were given, between the 2012 and 2016 survey, there's one emergent issue which we've seen it in news lately, but this survey actually caught it first, and that was the issue of abuse, neglect, and assault on children. And so with a lot of the human trafficking issues for our teens, it makes sense that that is an issue that's come up. But if you look at the different results, like I said, a lot of them here, they show the emergent issues, they show where the money needs to go, and United Way makes sure that if no other programs are funded, at least those top 10, and then they continue to go down the list to try to fund as many of the programs that basically match the biggest needs of the community. I invite you guys to go to the United Way of Cumberland County's website to actually see the entire report. I think it's always neat to hear what the residents have to say directly. And the entire report is there, which gives you their responses to the survey. So either you can go to the United Way's website or you can contact Crystal Moore Williams, who's the Community Impact Director, and she can answer any questions that you guys have.
Thank you so much, and thank you for what United Way does for our community.
You're welcome.
Our next speaker is Mr. Tom Clark.
Welcome, Mr. Clark.
Well, good afternoon, Commissioners. My name's Tom Clark. I live at 4643 Goldsboro Road, Wade, North Carolina. And what I'm here tonight about, I'd just like to share a letter that Ms. Therese Fick, she's a board member of Blue Ridge Environmental Defense League. This is a letter she addressed to Governor Roy Cooper and Attorney General Josh Stein. And it's in reference to the ACP, y'all know. In North Carolina, private security operatives have been and continue to be active in counties in the Path Atlantic Coast Pipeline. During the summer of 2017, I attended a meeting of the Johnson County Local Emergency Planning Committee where representatives of the ACP were present. A speaker who identified himself as Dominion Security described his trip to Standing Rock, North Dakota. and then proceeded to tell the attendees that Dominion was monitoring potential resistance, including local opposition to the ACP. The implications were clear, and his future comments were not so subtle attempt to paint local opponents as radicals. Local citizens like the teachers, farmers, ministers, firefighters, doctors, parents, and grandparents throughout 8 counties targeted by the ACP. Similar comments were reported from the LEPC meetings in Nash and Robeson County. At public hearings, private security firms from Dominion, ACP, have been observed photographing people who spoke in opposition to the pipeline. They were also observed taking pictures of their license plates. This kind of activity is clearly an attempt to intimidate. And the reason I brought that letter tonight, because I experienced some of that just a few months ago. I attended a business breakfast at Highland Country Club that was put on, I think it was City View, I'm not for sure. But their ACP representative was there fielding questions. And I had a couple of questions I approached her with, and really before she could even answer them, one of her associates came from the side and said, "You don't have to answer his questions. That's Tom Clark. He's not a landowner." That right there shows you what they're doing. I didn't even know the woman, but I am an impacted landowner. I live 900 feet from the pipeline. My family member that owns the land that the pipeline is going through lives 3 states away. So who would that affect more, myself and my family or my other family member? And I've got a little packet here with me tonight that I would like to leave with you that reflects why I say the ACP is not good for our families, it's not good for our towns and cities, it's not good for our county, and it's not good for our state. And I appreciate your time as always.
Thank you, Mr. Clark. Mr. Clark, thank you for your continued commitment.
Yes, sir. I'll make sure.
Our next speaker is Chief District Court Judge Robert Steele.
Thank you, Judge. Good to see you again.
Mr. Chair, Commissioners, thanks for having me. As you know, it's my habit to share with you some of our numbers and to keep you updated on some things that are going on here at the courthouse. For us, last month, you and the citizens ought to know we had 63,725 citizens come through the doors of this courthouse. Probably a good portion of them were dealing with their tax issues that were coming up, but maybe not. I'm happy to say there were a little under 20,000 hearings scheduled, 19,514. There were 382 items that were seized at our doors by our bailiffs that are protecting UI and the other citizens. Happy to say none of which were firearms this past month. On the horizon for us, tomorrow we're holding a meeting to strategize on letting the public know about e-filing for domestic violence civil orders. This is where families will be able to file out in Fort Bragg and not bring their kids down to the courthouse. Rape Crisis Volunteers of Cumberland County at 515 Ramsey Street, another off-site location. The judges will interview folks by Skype, and papers will be filed electronically. So I want to share with you, probably Jordan and Melissa have grown up in an era that all of us are used to, but they will not tolerate, and that is being a paper shuffler. You know, kids, it seems like, show up, they've got smartphones in their hand, parents marvel, and now when you go to restaurants, look at us old fogies, what do we now have in our hands? And so I think we owe them the duty of having the foresight, in Cumberland County especially, to incorporate principles of e-filing, because it is in the future, it's coming statewide. Why should we be last in Cumberland County? And first to say, why should these young folks have to tolerate paper filings and shufflings when very little people in the country will eventually have to do that? I'm proud to say that Sally Shutt has provided us with some guidance on PSAs and some strategies, and she will not make the meeting, but she will be sending her substitute. There she is, and I want to thank her personally for the support. We've got Brenda Jackson here, director of our DSS. We lead the state in number of kids in DSS custody. That makes us unique in this state, so we are working together. One of the things many years ago was courts running till 7, 8 o'clock at night. I happened to take a break, come down. One of our DSS courts had wound down at 11:30 this morning, finished their business for the day. my comment was, y'all didn't just continue everything and walk out. No, they actually conducted business, and they've got the breathing room to give these very important cases the attention that judges, social workers, lawyers, everyone involved needs to provide them with. The Stepping Up initiative that I should recognize Glenn Adams, Commissioner Adams for, it's on the horizon, and I will simply say we look forward to working with you and implementing and saving taxpayer dollars. Thank you.
Thank you, Judge.
I apologize for that.
Thanks for being an innovator.
Our last speaker is Mr. Tim Kinlaw.
My goodness. Can you do it in 3, Tim?
I'm embarrassed to come up here with a piece of paper.
Hey, Judge, you hear that?
Yeah.
You've got paper.
By the way, we need to thank Tim for the job he's done.
Hey, how about that?
I hope my time ain't started yet.
No, you got it.
On behalf of the board, I'd like to, and I've not stopped smiling in 2 days now, with the selection of Dr. Marvin Conley as the new superintendent of Cumberland County Schools. He's going to bring a lot of excitement to our system. Today, I'm back. I was here a couple months ago thanking you for the support. This county commissioners has provided more support to the school system, to any other board in southeastern North Carolina. But I'm here tonight to ask you to please continue that support. Looking over your presentation that you have as a consider item tonight, we do recognize that we've lost 576 students over the last 5 years during this study. I would like to point out, though, that during this time we've seen a 4.25% increase in revenue as a result of our funding agreement. This is less than 1% per year. At the same time, over the last 5 years, the inflation in the United States has been 7.8%. So even though we receive funds, we've not kept up with inflation. In your presentation, you see how you compare with surrounding counties, but that's not the whole story. When you look at federal, state, and local funding, Cumberland County Schools ranks 75th out of 100 counties in North Carolina. We actually rank below Moore County, Bladen County, and Sampson County in per pupil expenditures. Over the last 5 years, while we have lost 576 students, we've also lost over 500 employees through the federal and state cuts. As we go forward with hopefully a new agreement, we're hopeful the board, as we look at different ways, if we want to change the formula, that any per pupil expenditure would include an inflationary factor, so a dollar stays a dollar in an agreement. As we look at what is possibly proposed, next year we would see over a $600,000 cut in funds as compared to what we see this year as compared to last year. Our board is confident that you will not be the first board, and I've gone back as far as I know how to go since 1985, that would cut the spending for education in Cumberland County. Again, thank you for your support. We're confident that we can reach an agreement that will sustain the financial sustainability of the county. We know you'll have a lot of other challenges ahead and a lot of other needs, but please remember the Cumberland County Schools and all of our children. Thank you.
Thank you, Tim. Madam Clerk, are we?
There are no further public comment speakers.
Okay. At this time, we're at the approval of the agenda. Any changes to the agenda, Madam?
No changes.
No changes to agenda.
Move to approve the agenda.
Motion to approve.
Second.
And a second. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Commissioner
Mr. Evans?
Evans? That is unanimous.
Consent agenda.
No one is going to pull in there. I move to approve the consent agenda.
Well, I just have one question. I don't want to have a whole discussion on one item, but on I, approval of the final item regarding the Cumberland County Health Benefits Plan for fiscal year 2018, what was that?
That item was mentioned, and we asked Chernoff Diamond to provide some more research. It was on grandfathering Several years ago, we grandfathered in a no smoking discount, and Chernoff Diamond had a concern about it being out of compliance with federal law. They've come to the conclusion that it's in our best interest to eliminate that option. The difference in the premium for those employees grandfathered in is 52 cents per month, or $12.48 a year.
I just want to make sure that was the final item.
Yes, sir. That is the final item.
Thank you, ma'am.
You okay with that?
Yes, sir.
All right, so we have a motion by Commissioner Adams. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Booth. Any discussion? All those in favor? Okay.
Commissioner Adams?
Charles?
Yes.
That is unanimous.
Thank you. Now we're down to the public hearing portion of our meeting. County Manager.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Item 3A is a public hearing to receive citizen input on the human services governance structure. And Mr. Chairman and Commissioners, I'd like to ask our Assistant Manager, Mr. Holder, to provide a little bit of background information for the viewing public and the citizens here this evening before we open the public hearing.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, and to the full board, as the board is aware, and for the benefit of the listening and viewing public, in the state of North Carolina, the traditional governance model for county departments of social services and public health establishes separate governing boards with certain powers and authorities granted by North Carolina general statutes. In 2012, with the introduction of House Bill 438 and the eventual adoption of North Carolina General Statute 153A-77, the General Assembly allowed counties to exercise its authority to enact one of several alternate governance models for 2 or more of its human services departments. Since adoption, of the 100 counties in the state of North Carolina, 31 now have passed resolutions adopting some alternate form of governance. The Cumberland County Board of Commissioners have been considering governance and consolidation options since late spring of 2017. Since that time, the county has been very methodical in its decision-making process. Activities have included county management meeting internally with the directors of social services and public health, county management and DSS and public health directors meeting with representatives from the UNC School of Government to discuss governance and consolidation options, the Board of Commissioners discussing human service governance and consolidation during its annual goal-setting session, the Board of Commissioners inviting members of the DSS Board and the Board of Health to attend a joint presentation from one of the UNC School of Government's subject matter experts, Dr. Jill Moore, on human service governance and consolidation options. And this evening, as a further step in this process and pursuant to law, prior to being able to enact an alternate model, the Board of Commissioners has called this public hearing to receive citizen input and comments on the matter. As a reminder, the board can consider the following regarding the governance of its human services departments. 1, you can maintain your current structure as it is currently organized. 2, you can abolish the DSS board and or the Board of Health and assume the duties and responsibilities of the abolished board or boards. Should this option be considered and the Board of Health be dissolved, there is a statutory requirement for the commissioners to appoint a health advisory committee. And the membership of that health advisory committee would have to be reflective of the current Board of Health composition. Number 3, you could establish a consolidated human service agency, which is inclusive of 2 or more human service departments, and it's not limited to just public health and DSS, but anything that you as a county Board of Commissioners consider a human service department. You can establish a consolidated agency and appoint a new consolidated human services board. And lastly, you can establish a consolidated human services agency, and you, the Board of Commissioners, can assume the duties and responsibilities of that consolidated human services board. As is outlined in your memorandum dated April the 10th, 2018, and that is located in your agenda packet, management is proposing the following next steps for the board during your decision-making process. Obviously, tonight we would have the public hearing to receive citizen input. We are proposing during the periods of April 17th through May 1st to distribute additional information to the board relating to governance structure options. We are also proposing the distribution of a survey to the board on trying to target your desired outcomes of any changes to your governance models and your priorities as a board. During that time, we would also collect and distribute those survey responses to you. And then finally, May 7th, we would propose a discussion of governance options and survey responses. Depending on the results of that discussion on that evening, you could make a decision to either maintain the current structure, or by adoption of a resolution, you could change your governance model. Again, this public hearing is a prerequisite to any changes that would occur.
So, Mr. Chairman, while no decision has been made at this point, the purpose of the public hearing this evening is to receive public comment on the board's consideration of these alternative options this evening. As the clerk calls your name, please come forward to the podium, state your full name and address for members of the board, then offer comment on this matter. Each speaker will be given 3 minutes to speak. So, Mr. Chairman, at your pleasure, you can open the public hearing.
At this time, we will open up the public hearing. Madam Clerk.
We have 2 speakers this evening. Our first speaker is Ms. Ethelene Holden Baker.
Okay. Ms. Baker, welcome.
Thank you. Good afternoon or good evening, everyone.
Yes, ma'am.
My name is Ethelene Holden Baker. Can you hear me?
No.
Okay.
Yeah.
My name is Ethelene Holden Baker, and my address is 810 Executive Place, Fayetteville, 28305. I have gone online, and I heard about the fact that the board was consider the change back in March. So I'm aware of the various options. And the only thing I'd like to say, in addition to other remarks regarding my reaction to the hearing, is that I feel that everyone does not have a computer. And most of the information is on the computer, online. But if you would publicize it more in the paper, and I think that would be more, maybe have a greater attendance, because the people should be aware of what's going on. But as far as I'm concerned, my personal view would recommend that you abolish the Cumberland County Board of Health and assume responsibilities of the board, and you as a commissioners, as a group of commissioners, assume the responsibility of the Board of Health. And the question I have, what would be the job of the advisory committee, although it was stated that the advisory committee would reflect the composition of the board as the Board of Health is now. But my question is, and I hope you do answer that in your decision as to what direction you will go, what will be the duties of the advisory board. But I do recommend, because of the fact that I did attend Board of Health meeting a couple of times, because I was concerned about the adult clinic being closed, which you did open, but I feel that there may be some acts of I would say partiality in the Board of Health group. So because as a board, you are elected, the commissions are elected by the people, and we are aware of what your philosophies are and what you want for the people. And we are more aware of what your views are rather than the Board of Health views. So my recommendation to you is to abolish the County Board of Health and appoint the advisory committee. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Baker.
Our second and last speaker is Ms. Andrea Wallace-Williams.
Ms. Williams, welcome. Thank you.
Hello, how you doing?
Great.
My name is Andrea Wallace-Williams. I live at 622 Longshank Street, Hope Mills, North Carolina, 28348. I'm not only here as a citizen tonight, but I am a 32-year employee of the Cumberland County Department of Public Health. So one of my questions is, as rumors go around the building, is how will this change affect us as employees? I'm hearing people say different things, but nobody has discussed this with us. How will this affect us? And wherever you guys decide, if you're going to get rid of the Board of Health or have an advisory board, I would like for you to have people on there that are concerned about the citizens of this county. Because I've seen many board members come and go, and I don't feel like they really have the citizens are concerned about what's going on with the citizens' health. So if you guys get rid of the Board of Health and you pick other people, please pick people that are concerned about the citizens. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
There are no further speakers.
Okay. We'll close the public hearing at this time. Any commissioners have any discussions, questions? Commissioner Booth?
Yeah, I have, Mr. Holder, that was the best summary I've ever heard of where we were last year to now in 5 minutes or less. I actually called it all of it. It was right on point. I do have two questions though. You said in the next steps, possible recommendation kind of thing, during that time. Is that time between now and May 7th, or is there another during that time?
That would be between now and May 7th.
Okay. And the second question, in your 4 options, in number 2, you said if we abolish the health department, and I don't like the word abolish, if we disband or something, if that's a better word, but if we eliminate the current health board, you said we had to have a health advisory committee, just like it was mentioned earlier, that's indicative and reflective of the current one.
Yes, sir.
Is that in reflective of what, in number? Would it be the same size, or is it just if they have specific
it's
memberships?
in discipline
like
and size,
okay,
yes, sir.
Okay, and that applies to number 2, but if we consolidated both or any others in option 4,
Yes, sir.
would that also then be reflective of what the current, let's say we do health board and DSS.
Right.
The health board then would be reflective still again in
Yes,
a merged situation?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
That consolidated board would, by statute, would be a minimum of 15 members and a maximum of 25 members. One of the key elements that's inclusive in that consolidated board is something that we don't necessarily have in our current board structures, either DSS or public health, and it is a requirement for 4 consumers of human services to serve on that consolidated board.
And who picks those? Is the board, do we appoint the board and the board pick their?
All 15 to 25 members would be appointed by the Board of Commissioners.
Okay. Thank you very much. I'm caught up.
Any other comments, questions? Mr. Evans?
Yes, thank you. Mr. Holder.
Excuse me,
yes, sir. Yes, sir.
My question is, we had 2 individuals that came before the public hearing. One was a concern about the information getting out, and the other was concern regarding employees, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. I have a concern as Ms. Baker has. The information that was put out, apparently it wasn't distributed enough for this public hearing tonight. I think that if we are really looking for citizen input, that staff should organize community meetings and go to various communities and present this issue to them and get input from those individuals in their communities. It has been done before regarding some other issues, and I think this issue is important enough, very important enough, that we need to really seek the input of the citizens and inform them of what our intentions may be or what we're thinking about doing regarding this health issue. And I was just concerned, I was just concerned as to what do you think about that, sir?
Well, I personally always think that citizen input is critical into any decision-making process and can definitely inform the board on the sentiment of the public. I will note that as a requirement of the law, that in addition to online posting, that the advertisement for the public hearing was posted in the Fayetteville Observer. There is a requirement by statute that it be placed in a newspaper in general circulation in the county. That was done, but that certainly does not mean that further outreach efforts cannot be undertaken.
Okay, well, as much as I respect the Fayetteville Observer, everyone does not read the Fayetteville Observer. And everyone does not have a computer, as was stated earlier. But what we do have radios that individuals listen to every day, as well as read the newspaper. There are individuals that do read the newspaper. But I think that we should be a little more concerned with the number of individuals that we have showed up tonight for that hearing. Only 2 individuals, and you're talking about their well-being as far as their health is concerned and how it will be handled through the Board of Commissioners, or whatever decision that we decide, the 4 votes decide, it's going to affect them in some kind of way. And so I think that maybe just before we move steam ahead with this, we need to consider that.
Yes, sir.
Yes, okay.
Hello, did anybody hear me?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
He said, okay.
Yeah.
In fact, I'd like to piggyback on what Commissioner Evans just said a little bit. Is there any communication, and this is for Judge Steele, in place where current employees, current patients, there's a network online that we could use that also, people that are already receiving services at both the health department and or DSS, if they have computers, do we, I don't know what we do on an intake. Do we ask for an email? Is there an email option on? I mean, I just don't know, but I agree with him.
We definitely have ways of contacting.
Okay. Well, I saw Judge Steele cringing when he said we need to send out more papers and do more papers. He was cringing when he started. Nobody has computers. And
yeah, I think that we can definitely do some more outreach.
Okay.
We did have the opportunity on last week to be on one of the local radio stations. I did WIDU. I did take the opportunity to announce it during that time. Again, that doesn't mean everyone heard it, but we can definitely undertake additional efforts.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. At this time, we're still at items of business. Ms. County Manager, consideration of March 1st. You got it.
Yes, sir. Item 4A is consideration of our March 1st, 2018 Finance Committee recommendation on current expense funding for the Cumberland County School System. Since some time has passed since March 1st, I thought it might be helpful if our Assistant Manager, Ms. Cardinale, provided a preview of some information that has been presented over a series of Finance Committee meetings from November through March.
Okay. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you. Good evening, Board of Commissioners. What you have before you tonight is a recommendation from the Finance Committee for the full board's consideration. At the March 1 meeting, the committee voted 2-1 to fund the Cumberland County School System at a rate of $1,575 per allotted average daily membership for fiscal years 2019, 20, and 21. The current expense funding agreement expires this June 30th. The Finance Committee, as Ms. Cannon stated, considered this topic over 3 different meetings beginning in the fall of 2017 through March of this year. A lot of data was presented to the committee to include the historical enrollment for the school system, the annual funding from the county to the school system, the unassigned fund balance that is being held within the school system, and the per pupil funding with contiguous counties. And as you will note from this slide, the $1,575 ADM allotment would be higher than most of our surrounding counties, with Moore County being the exception. The current agreement is tied to the tax rate, so it provides 34.06 cents of the tax rate to be allocated to the school system. Based on that formula, the funding for the current fiscal year would have been just over $76 million. The current agreement did allow for an adjustment for revaluation, which resulted in an allocation of just over $80.3 million. If that adjustment for revaluation was extended beyond the revaluation year, the tax rate allocation would have to increase from 34.06 cents to 36 cents to produce the same dollars. For FY 2019, under the current agreement, the allocation would be based on 34.06 cents of the tax rate, and based on the values that we had as of March of this year, that formula would result in an allocation in 2019 of just over $77.1 million. The option being brought forward to the board from the Finance Committee was based on the FY17 allocation of $79.4 million and creates a formula derived by applying the allotted ADM to the FY17 allocation. So the FY17 allocation of $79,463,109 divided by the allotted ADM for that same fiscal year of $50,459 resulted in an annual funding per ADM of $1,575. The committee expressed the belief that using the average daily membership as a basis for funding provided a funding method that is measurable, predictable, and sustainable. The motion that you have before you tonight, Commissioners, is to consider the Finance Committee recommendation to fund the Board of Education at $79,463,109 for fiscal year 2019 and to utilize the allotted ADM as the basis for the current expense allocation for FY 2020 as well as 2021.
Mr. Keefe.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And as the chairman of the Finance Committee, I had specifically asked that historically this may have been put on a consent item, but I knew that there would be some discussion on this, and I asked for it to be a proper agenda item. But again, as chairman, it was voted on by the Finance Committee. So at this time, I would like to make a motion to open up discussion. That we consider the Finance Committee and staff recommendation to fund the Board of Education at $79,463,109 for fiscal year 2019 and to utilize the allotted ADM as the basis of the current expense allocation for fiscal year 2020 and 2021.
Okay.
Is that a motion?
Huh.
That is the form of a motion that was passed by the Finance Committee.
Okay.
For now discussion.
Okay. Any discussion? Commissioner Booth?
Well, I don't have my mind set on anything that's chiseled in stone, but with this, with some sort of floor, I don't like that phrase, hold harmless, but obviously once you have students in place, buses rolling, teachers in classes, cafeteria lines rolling and everything else, you can't just all of a sudden say, oh, we had a bad month, and then it goes wrong for them. But by the same token, depending on the tax rate, that doesn't even give them any set thing other than after the taxes are in, they take the formula and divide it. So that's not something you can really count on each time. I've seen different numbers that the student population is right at about 50,000. I saw 49.7, and I don't know, do you know what it is today? Or when the count day is?
It's around 51.5. Remember, as you're looking at what the proposal is, you have to include charter school students who you must, we get the money from the charter schools. And then we have about 900 pre-K students who don't show up in our official attendance data.
Okay. Well, even with that number, it still comes up in my calculations of 81,112, and that's again using some sort of figure per student. So I don't have any problem getting to the figure you need to run the schools, and then dividing it by whatever the student count is to make sure that every child is getting what he or she deserves and needs. And then as the students grow or the numbers change, it'll be calculated in there, and then have some sort of, if you had 1,000 students leave this year, that's not fair to all of a sudden having full-time teachers sitting around having 2 less in their class, but county-wide it's 1,000 students, and suddenly we take 1,000 times 1,500 away from them. That wouldn't be fair either. So the formula, I wasn't at the finance committee meeting for it, but the formula on ADM I think has some great merits as far as easily calculable, as long as we get whatever your federal numbers are, your state numbers, whatever your ADM. It's kind of like defining homeless, what the ADM is. You know, like you said, they're counted, but they're actually in charter schools, or they're counted, but they're not officially there. So, but you still have the lights on at all the schools, whether there's 22 in the class or 28 in the class. So the bills are the same, the teachers are the same. So I thank the finance committee for bringing this forward, and that's my discussion on it.
Did Mr. Evans have time to weigh in?
He's listening. I asked him if he could hear, and he could kind of hear. Right. So he's actually on the line.
Commissioner Council.
I am very concerned about the school system, as I am about the court system, as I am about the, can't say the judicial system. What do we call it other than jail? Detention center. The almost 1,000 students that we have in DSS custody, then we keep getting more. The students that we have all the way up to Mecklenburg County that we have got to fund and send to the doctor and let them have court appearances, bring them back. I'm concerned about Fayetteville Technical Community College, which also has needs. They were here tonight. We heard a presentation from them that also tells us that we aren't doing what we're supposed to be doing for the school system, for the community college system. I'm concerned about the court system. We got folk working at night, over hours. It's crowded. It is not safe. I'm concerned about the library system, where we cut employees. We sent people home last year. We sent them home. They have no jobs, so that we could divvy up these tax funds. I'm concerned about the Gen X. I'm concerned about the fact that we have no clean water for our entire county. I'm concerned about the health department and the fact that we don't even have school nurses to address all of the problems that we find in the school system. I mean, I'm sorry, not beating up on y'all, okay? But we need school nurses. I'm concerned about the 911 center and keeping our citizens safe when they're down there basically in a dungeon right now. And I'm concerned because we have got to spend money to bring them up, to keep the equipment current so that we can do the best that we can. I'm concerned that we don't have generations of students coming in to provide us with more problems that we have, and we don't have the funds to take care of any one thing. I'm concerned about law enforcement and the fact that we can't keep all of our students safe. I know, Tim, what you're trying to do. You're being creative, and congratulations on what you did doing 2 jobs. Where is Tim Kinlaw? I'm here. Okay. But I think we as a board have got to communicate a little bit better. We've got to collaborate a little bit more, and we've got to come to consensus about what we're going to do with our future. We've got to do more with less. Every time we raise our hands, we make somebody upset because we're not doing what they think we ought to do. We sit in a hard place, between a rock and a hard place. We have employees who have not had a cost of living raise or a decent raise in the last, I don't know how many years. Some departments we can't even keep staffed because we can't pay money. I'm taking a point of personal privilege because I have shut up, and a lot of times I had things to say. I wanted to preach a sermon and I didn't. I've got years of being concerned about children, and I told you that whenever I was sworn in as a commissioner on August the 7th of 2000, that I was concerned about the youngest among us and the elderly. If we took care of them, we would get most of the people in between. There is no way that I can, okay, I'm coming down now. I'm winding down. I need some help. I need the correct language, not to slap my brother in the face for his motion, but I want to send it back to the Finance Committee so that we can get some more information about what is splitting us here. And I want to make a substitute motion to send it back to the Finance Committee without killing his motion. Can I do that?
Yes, you just have to vote on sequentially yours and then the original
Wait a
motion.
minute, what did you say?
You vote on, you may have to vote on both of them. In other words, if your motion didn't pass, then you go back to Mr. Keith's motion.
If my motion doesn't pass.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. I want. I don't know whether I'm done or not. You getting ready to say you would take it?
Let's just see.
All right.
I want.
Okay. All right, Commissioner Keith.
Thank you. Thank you.
Oh, okay.
Oh, wait. I'm on number 2. No,
Go ahead.
please.
You're fine.
First call.
Well, I will second Commissioner Council's motion because it has to have a second just for the discussion purposes. And I'll do that to make sure that that's done. And my colleagues here will know that I'm one of the proponents for the ADM. I have always been that way. I've talked about that. But it also, you know, it's not about cutting money to the school system or any of that. I've had 5 kids come through the school system. They've all done well. I sat as chair last year when we had a very tough budget season and had to raise taxes on the back of citizens here in Cumberland County, and it was not a fun thing to do. The finance and Melissa and all those and staff had a tough time cutting people and cutting programs. At the same time, some of the folk that we gave money to gave bonuses and raises to their people, and that just did not sit well with me throughout this community. But that happened at a number of levels, and even today, I think Dr. King, when he asked for his money, said part of that would be a 3% increase, and that was more than I think I got maybe 1% because we only did 2% in the second half of the year, and I think that the luxury of sitting here is that we get to see the whole picture. I understand everybody that comes here is going to advocate for themselves, and they have a fiduciary duty to do that. And I understand that. And they ought to advocate hard. They ought to call me. They ought to beat me over the head. That's fine. But at the end of the day, as I think Commissioner Council eloquently said, is we have to look at the whole picture. And that's this entire county and what's best for this entire county. That being said, Commissioner, because I was one of the yes votes at the Finance Committee. But again, I do hear folk. And I think Superintendent Kinlaw made it abundantly clear to me, even as we were doing the ADM, that if they lose 50 kids, it's not 50 kids at every school, it's throughout the school system. So it really doesn't lower what you do in any particular school. The expense is still there because it's spread out across the system. So I did hear you. And so that was kind of after I voted on this. And so I believe in terms of some of the conversations that I've had, I still am at ADM, but I do believe we may need to set a floor so that if there is a decrease, if it's an increase, they get more money. If there is a decrease, that it will be offset by a floor that's set, whatever that percentage may be, because they have to budget. So in listening to all of that, I'm in agreement, and I still would like the motion that we have in front of us. But if we talk about a floor in the ADM and everybody comes along, I am not opposed to sending it back to the finance if we can work that out. It is about collaboration. It is about working with all of our partners in this community.
Commissioner Fairclough.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. As a member of the Finance Committee and one who voted in the minority against the recommendation of the Finance Committee, I don't object to the amount. In fact, I was just trying to do the math here a little bit, and I don't have a problem with the $79,463, $79,463,109, which is what the ADM amount would translate to. I just don't like the means of getting to an ADM number and using that, because I believe if our enrollment continues to decline in the school system, you know, you can't lop off pieces of buildings and do this every time the student population changes. So what I advocate, and what I tried to advocate in the Finance Committee meeting originally, was to just decide what amount we can give and tie that to a tax rate amount. And based on just a quick calculation, that figure, that 79 million, translates to 35.07 cents. Y'all check my math on that, if you will, or whatever that turns out to be. If 3406 will yield 77 million, 77,171,516, then to get to the 79, you would need 35.07 cents, and that's just what that to me is just a simple way of going forward. And then as the tax base expands, it gives more money to the schools, which is what we've done every year since we started this in 2004. Was it 2002?
3 and 4, yeah.
I remember it was being talked about in my previous life as a commissioner, trying to get to something like that, and it came to fruition while I was on hiatus. But in any case, that's what I advocate, and not disrespecting your motion, Ms. Council, but if it goes back to the finance committee, I don't know what's going to accomplish. If we've got two that are on ADM and me against ADM, that's still 2-1. It's going to come back with an ADM motion again. So for that reason, I don't see the reason to. I don't know what can be accomplished. You know, I'll listen, but I don't know if unless the other members of the finance committee will talk about giving the same amount of dollars, but as a percentage of the tax rate, not as an ADM number, then, you know, I'll be in agreement.
All right, Commissioner Keith, you're up.
Thank you. Mr. Chairman, as the chairman of the Finance Committee, I have an obligation to bring up the properly voted item on the Finance Committee to the full board, and that's what I did. Commissioner Council brought up a number of good points. Her and I have been on this board for a long time. I'm very familiar with, can I borrow your list? I'm very familiar with almost every in here, and we've tried to work through these, everything from the court system, the libraries, clean water. You and I went through 8 years ago a very arduous process. For the last couple of years, the health department, the things we've had to do in social services, the 911 center, the detention center. We do not have the luxury of commissioners to be passionate about one thing. We have to be passionate about all things that affect our citizens, and whether that be crime or whether that be health or whether that be the library system or education. So I tell people a lot of times that everything I know about politics I learned in the 9th grade in public school, that for every positive action, there's an equal and negative reaction. And that usually has to do with budgeting. Because whenever we present more funding to one group, it means we either have to take it away from another group or take it away from the property owners in the way of a tax increase. So balance is very, very important. So when we look at this, and it's ironic, I only hope that together as commissioners, we can stop kicking these proverbial cans and make some really, really good decisions coming up, because we have to make decisions. Things like just tonight in our health department and our social services department, yes, we're talking about a long-term funding model to continue with our school system. And I've had the pleasure of working with Tim Kinlaw for a number of years, and he has always put the school system number one. And we as commissioners always have to put the county as ourselves in number one to try to balance everything else. I do believe that there's probably more discussion on this, and I have no problems withdrawing my motion to get there. But before I do that, Ms. Council, who I have a great deal of respect for, came on this board in 2000. I followed up in 2008, 8 short years. A person that was born when Commissioner Council came on is now graduating from college. I'm sorry, from high school.
High school.
I have.
High school.
There's some. I have, when I started to be a county commissioner, I had a daughter who was 1 month old, and she's 10 now.
That's right.
And we've got to be better. We've got to be better as a county for these young people to stay in our community. And that means that we have to balance and provide services for everybody. And that's not only just human services, but educational services and public safety services. But most important, we have to make decisions. And we have to make decisions that are in the best of everybody as we move forward. Just tonight, as we go into this budget session, we had the largest tax increase in at least 20 years last year. And I'm fearful that we may be looking at something very similar again. We have got to be passionate about everything as we move forward. So with that, Mr. Chair, I have no problems withdrawing my motion if Commissioner Booth accepts the second being withdrawn also.
And his light is up, so Michael.
Okay, if you're withdrawing it, then there isn't a motion for me to second. So I'll be glad to do that. Again, this is some of the most detailed work I've seen the finance crowd do. Is there a stone that wasn't looked under yet? I mean, is there going, like I said, if we're back to 2-to-1, 2-to-1, and I'm not on finance. So, you know, except for getting to the figure, I think we can get to the figure. But is there, the math and everything else, I just was curious, is there something that you didn't look at?
Not to my knowledge.
Okay, all right, well then, so there's, okay, so the presentation will be there, ready to go. And since this will be the last time that we may see him, depending on whether he comes to the June meeting or not, I got the privilege of working with 6 superintendents, all the way back from Dr. Jack Britt, and including Tim Kinlaw. He's the best of the 6. Thank you, sir.
I believe Commissioner.
back in June unless they fire me.
Charles have some discussion. Charles. Commissioner Evans?
I'm listening. I'm good. I'm good.
You good?
I put your light on. Sorry about that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, before, I think several things. Number one, that I haven't discussed, and I guess we can clean this up when we get back together. We are talking about an agreement, probably longer than one.
Longer.
Okay, as an agreement that we can reach as long as we can reach that agreement. And number two, I haven't heard anybody say anything about getting any less money. Okay, we're just trying to agree at what figure we're going to get as we move forward. So we've withdrawn the motions. Dr. Counsel, would you restate your motion again, and then we'll vote.
I forgot it.
Send it back to finance. Send it back to finance.
Please allow me to say that among the 7 of us, if we all are stuck, then we're not communicating and we're not collaborating. And I think that we listen to each other and we can come to consensus. I think we can. Therefore, my motion is to send this issue back to the Finance Committee, and I'll take the gavel and go to the committee.
Okay, that's the motion.
I'll renew my second.
Okay, we have any further discussion? All those in favor of the motion, raise your hand. Okay, that's unanimous. Madam Clerk, and we will see about
Thank you
this.
so much.
He said yes.
That is unanimous.
That's unanimous.
Thank you so much. Thank
Okay,
you, guys.
that's where we are.
Okay.
All right. At this point in time, we're at nominations, and we have no nominations for this meeting. Number 6, appointments. We have no appointments for this meeting. Number 7 is closed session. I'll make the motion that we go into attorney-client closed session pursuant to NCGS 143-8, 318-11A3. A motion to go into closed session.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor? Okay, we're in closed session.
Commissioner Evans,
Yeah.
what's your name?
Amanda.
How you doing, Miss Amanda? Good. I didn't know you better.
Okay.
Move to adjourn.
Move to adjourn.
Second.
Second. Unanimous.
That's anonymous.
She called me.
Amy.